Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour. OPEC Plus agrees to boost oil production by 547,000 barrels per day from September. The decision comes amid increasing US pressure to bring Moscow to the negotiating table in the Ukraine crisis. China and Russia start joint naval drills in the Sea of Japan. The drills come 2 days after US President Donald Trump's nuke submarine threat. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expresses profound shock over the chilling hostage videos released by Hamas. Thousands rally in Tel Aviv demanding complete hostage deal. And Balochistan prepares for Independence Day despite restrictions, rejects Pakistan's unlawful directives. Activist Mehrang Balot's remand extended for 20 days amid growing global outcry. Eight OPEC Plus countries announced on Sunday to increase oil production by 547,000 barrels a day. The decision came following a meeting of OPEC Plus countries. Analysts say there is unlikely to be a major impact on prices, with the Brent crude oil currently selling at about $70 a barrel.
The 8 OPEC Plus countries said Sunday they will increase production by 547,000 barrels a day in a move which analysts say aims to regain market share amid resilient crude prices. According to a statement, the 8 participating countries will implement a production adjustment of 547,000 barrels per day in September 2025 from August 2025 required production level. The oil output hike was agreed by Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Algeria and Oman. OPEC Plus, which pumps about half of the world's oil, had been curtailing production for several years to support the market. However, the group sped up output hikes in recent months, citing low global stocks and rising demand. OPEC Plus began output increases in April with a modest hike of 138,000 barrels per day, followed by larger hikes of 411,000 barrels per day in May, June and July. Expectedly, the output hikes can contribute to significant declines in oil prices. For instance, Brent crude fell over 6% to below $70 per barrel in April 2025. The increased supply, combined with rising production from non-OPEC countries like the US, Canada, Brazil and Guyana, has raised fears of a global oil surplus. Global oil inventories have reportedly been rising by about 1 million barrels per day in first half of 2025, particularly due to weaker demand in markets like China. This oversupply has further depressed prices despite strong summer demand in some regions. The output hikes reflect a pivot from price stabilization to regaining market share, led by key members like Saudi Arabia and Russia. This move is partly a response to rising production from non-OPEC producers and aims to maintain OPEC Plus's influence in a competitive market. The output hikes align with US President Donald Trump's calls for lower oil prices to offset inflationary pressures from its tariff policies, including 25% tariffs on countries importing Venezuelan oil and threats of 25 to 50% tariffs on Russian and Iranian oil buyers. Lower oil prices benefit major importers in Europe and Asia by reducing energy costs, moderating inflation and supporting consumer spending. This provides economic relief in regions facing high energy costs and trade war concerns. Fuzail Ahmed reports for DD India.
The Russia-China partnership flexed its military muscle in the Sea of Japan, but it's the timing that's making the news. The joint naval exercise unfolded after US President Donald Trump ordered 2 US nuclear submarines to reposition in response to a chilling Russian threat involving its Cold War-era dead hand system. DD India's Mihir Mekhuri has more.
Described as a marriage of convenience, the Russia-China partnership has long stood as a counterweight to Western influence. That alliance was on full display this week as the navies of both nations kicked off joint artillery and anti-submarine drills in the Sea of Japan. Codenamed Maritime Interaction 2025, the high-stakes drills feature a Russian anti-submarine warship sailing alongside two Chinese destroyers, supported by diesel-electric submarines from both sides and a Chinese submarine rescue vessel. But the timing of these war games is no coincidence. They come just 48 hours after Donald Trump ordered two US nuclear submarines to deploy to what he called the appropriate regions.
Oh yeah, well we had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people.
The comment was in response to a chilling reminder from Deputy Chairman of Russia's Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, who warned Trump of Moscow's Cold War-era nuclear system known as Dead Hand. So what is Dead Hand? The system that prompted such a sharp American reaction. The Dead Hand, or perimeter, is a Cold War-era automated nuclear retaliation system. It was designed to launch a counterstrike even if the entire Russian leadership is incapacitated. It activates through sensors that detect signs of a nuclear attack. And though dormant in peacetime, the system reportedly remains fully operational. Medvedev's threat followed a fiery social media post from Trump, in which he declared that he didn't care if Russia and India cooperated, adding that they could take their dead economies down together. This nuclear saber rattling comes as Trump sets a looming deadline, demanding Russia take meaningful steps to end the war in Ukraine by next week or face fresh sanctions. Nuclear threats, military drills, and diplomatic firestorms, all signs of a world where peace hangs by a thread. Mihir Makri for DD India.
On the ground, at least 7 people were injured and dozens of houses along with residential buildings reduced to rubble after an overnight Russian missile strike on the city of Mykolaiv in southern Ukraine on Sunday. Around 23 private homes, 17 apartment buildings and a post office were damaged in the strike. In another Russian strike, a bridge in Kherson was heavily damaged on Saturday. The state administration strongly urged the local residents to evacuate. The bridge connected the city centre to nearby Korabel district. Meanwhile, Ukraine launched a drone strike over Russian city of Sochi, prompting more than 120 firefighters to extinguish a blaze at an oil depot with a capacity of 2,000 cubic meters. The Russian Defense Ministry said that it destroyed 93 Ukrainian drones overnight, while Russia's Civil Aviation Authority had temporarily halted flights at the Sochi airport, but the flights have now resumed. Sochi's mayor confirmed that there were no victims in the incident and the situation is totally under control. Ukraine's anti-corruption agencies, the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine and Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, uncovered a major graft scheme involving military drones and signal jamming systems purchased at inflated prices just days after their independence was restored last week following massive protests. The scheme implicated a sitting lawmaker, 2 local officials and the National Guard personnel who took bribes up to 30% of the contract costs. 4 arrests were made. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, reversing his earlier attempt to control the agencies, praised their autonomy, vital for Ukraine's EU membership bid. The protests, the largest since the Russia-Ukraine conflict started in 2022, forced Zelensky's policy U-turn, earning him praise from his European allies.
A serious Russian agent in the Air Force was exposed, as well as a former official of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine who tried to make money from the purchase of food for our army.
On to West Asia now. Amid the deepening Israel-Hamas conflict, new footage of two emaciated hostages has sparked outrage and renewed calls for a ceasefire. Mass protests erupted in Tel Aviv, with citizens demanding urgent action from their government. U.S. involvement is also growing as President Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff pushes for a breakthrough in stalled negotiations. More in our next report.
This chilling footage of an emaciated Israeli hostage has sent shockwaves around the world. From Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to European Union, all have condemned the disturbing visuals released by Hamas. On Sunday, Israeli protesters blocked a major Tel Aviv highway during rush hour, demanding the return of hostages held in Gaza for 667 days. Holding large photos and chanting, demonstrators expressed outrage over the recent videos showing emaciated captives.
We came here because yesterday we saw the videos of our hostages in captivity after 666 days, looking like skeletons, and we just couldn't stay home. We want to shout and remind the Israeli public and the whole world that our brothers, these hostages, need to come home as fast as possible in a complete deal, a full deal, which will stop the war and bring back all the hostages as soon as possible.
The protest follows a statement from US President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy, who told hostage families that he is working with Israel on a plan to end the Gaza war. Trump has made resolving the conflict a key priority, though negotiations remain stalled. Pope Leo XIV, who presided over a mass for over 1 million young people in Rome, called for peace in Gaza.
Our peace and hope for the world, we are closer than ever to young people who suffer the most serious evils, which are caused by other human beings. We are with the young people of Gaza.
In Jerusalem, Israel's far-right minister Ben-Gvir visited the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, drawing sharp criticism from Jordan and Palestinian leaders. The visit, coinciding with a Jewish day of mourning, included calls from Ben-Gvir for full Israeli sovereignty over Gaza. Rabindra Chauhan, 4DD India.
Moving on now, the U.S. Senate on Saturday confirmed Jeanine Pirro, former Fox News host, as U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia in a 50-45 vote. The 74-year-old, praised by President Donald Trump as exceptional, transitioned from hosting Justice with Judge Jeanine to a key judicial role. Her appointment, alongside other media figures like Pete Hegseth and Sean Duffy, reflects Trump's preference for loyalists. Critics, including Senator Dick Durbin, criticized her for promoting 2020 election conspiracies, citing her involvement in a settled $800 million defamation lawsuit. Pirro's confirmation highlights Trump's influence in reshaping government with trusted allies. U.S. President Donald Trump fired a top Labor Department official by accusing her of manipulating the job figures in its latest published report on job growth and the economy. Commissioner Erika McEntaufer has been leading the Bureau of Labor Statistics since January 2024. The Bureau's jobs report showed that just 73,000 jobs were added in the U.S. last month, and that 258,000 fewer jobs were created in May and June than previously estimated. The report also suggested that the economy has sharply weakened during Donald Trump's tenure. Protesters marched the streets of Los Angeles on Saturday as part of the nationwide protest called Rage Against the Regime. The protest was organized by the 50-51 movement, a group against President Trump's policies. The name 50-51 stands for 50 protests, 50 states, 1 movement. The group has been active since US President Donald Trump took office. leading events under slogans like "Hands Off" and "No Kings." Saturday's protest focused on opposing Trump's actions on immigration, mass deportations and federal budget cuts. Similar rallies were planned in about 350 cities across the United States. You're watching the India NewsHour, still to come on the show. More clashes and arrests at the anti-immigration protests in the United Kingdom. An Egyptian wrestler pulls 20 vehicles for a distance of 10 meters in an attempt to set a Guinness World Record. And the India Pavilion Bharat shines at the World Expo 2025 in Osaka, Japan.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I am Tanvi Taneja. News from the US. The Smithsonian Institution removed a placard detailing US President Donald Trump's 2 impeachments from the National Museum of American History, clarifying on Saturday that the decision was not due to pressure from the White House. The temporary placard, which outlined Trump's 2019 and 2021 impeachments, was removed for not meeting exhibit standards and obstructing display views. The Smithsonian denied external influence despite reports of a content review following White House actions. Trump, the only US president impeached twice, has pushed to reshape cultural institutions. The museum plans to update the exhibit to comprehensively reflect all US impeachment proceedings in the coming weeks. US officials have opened an investigation into Jack Smith, the former special counsel who led 2 federal criminal cases against President Donald Trump. The Office of Special Counsel told the New York Times on Saturday that it was investigating Smith for potentially violating the Hatch Act, which prohibits federal workers from engaging in political activity while on the job. Republican Senator Tom Cotton had reportedly asked the agency to investigate whether Smith's actions had been designed to influence the 2024 election. Smith was appointed special counsel in 2022 and charged Trump with plotting to overturn the results of the 2020 election and the mishandling of classified documents after leaving the White House. Trump denied both the charges and sought to frame them as politically motivated, accusing the Justice Department of being weaponized against him. Now, with less than 3 weeks before the general elections in Bolivia, supporters of former Bolivian President Evo Morales have launched a campaign for null voting. Morales' exclusion from the ballot has sparked protests, with campaign offices established to promote null voting as a form of resistance. The campaign highlights divisions within Bolivia's left as Morales' supporters aim to disrupt an election that for the first time in nearly 3 decades will proceed without his presence. The election in Bolivia is set for August the 17th. On to Europe now. Anti-immigration protests in the United Kingdom led to clashes and arrests in Manchester and London. In Manchester, far-right Britain First marchers demanding mass remigration faced Anti-racism counter-protesters with police intervening after brief scuffles. Protesters criticised asylum policies while counter-protesters condemned hate. In London, rival groups clashed outside a hotel housing asylum seekers, resulting in 9 arrests, 7 for breaching Public Order Act conditions. Recent tensions, notably in Epping, highlight the growing unrest over the issue of immigration, with authorities struggling to maintain order amid heated demonstrations. On to India's north now. Operation Akal in Jammu and Kashmir's Kulgam district has entered its 3rd day on Sunday, with security forces continuing their anti-terror efforts in the Akal Devsar forest area. In the latest updates, security forces have neutralized 3 terrorists so far, while 1 soldier has sustained injuries. Elite para forces, supported by advanced surveillance technology, are spearheading the mission. Senior police and army officials are closely overseeing the operation, which remains dynamic with ongoing exchanges of fire. The area is under a strict cordon as security forces maintain heightened vigilance. India is witnessing a semiconductor revolution which is powering the future of electronics. The country's chip market is set to cross $100 billion mark by 2030. India's semiconductor mission, which has an outlay of 76,000 crore rupees, boosts local manufacturing and design. 6 major semiconductor units have been approved under the ISM between 2023 and 2025. The mission's aim is to formulate a long-term strategy for developing sustainable semiconductors and display manufacturing facilities. Over 300 global exhibitors and 18 countries participated in the Semicon India 2025 event, signaling India's rise as a trusted chip partner globally. Semiconductor chips enable the functioning of devices such as smartphones, satellites, and even defense systems like that of the Akash Tir. At the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will pay a state visit to India from 4th to the 8th of August. He will be accompanied by First Lady, Madam Luis Araneta Marcos, and a high-level delegation, including several cabinet ministers, other dignitaries and senior officials, in addition to business representatives. This would be the first visit of President Marcos to India since assumption of office of the President of the Philippines. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi and President Marcos are scheduled to hold bilateral discussions. President Marcos will also be meeting his Indian counterpart, Draupadi Murmu. Both countries have since developed a strong partnership across a wide spectrum of areas. This includes trade and investment, defense and security, maritime cooperation, agriculture, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, and digital technologies. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav highlighted India's economic ascent, citing the IMF's World Economic Outlook. India's GDP growth is projected at 6.4% for 2025-26, outpacing the US, which is at 2%, and China, which is at 4.8%, solidifying its status as the fastest growing major economy. The IMF data released in July 2025 reflects India's fiscal year with growth forecasts at 6.7% for 2024 and 6.4% for 2026. Vaishnav emphasized this milestone amid global economic shifts, boosting India's global economic narrative. Next, in a major push towards regional development and fulfilling long-standing public demands, the Indian Railways launched 3 new express train services from Bhavnagar, Gujarat today. The inauguration was led by Union Minister for Railways and Information and Broadcasting, Ashwini Vaishnav, during his visit to Gujarat's Bhavnagar, accompanied by Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports, Dr. Mansukh Mandavia. The new services aimed at improving interstate travel and boosting economic ties between Gujarat and other states of India. The newly inaugurated trains include Bhavnagar to Ayodhya, Rewa to Pune, and Jabalpur to Raipur. These services are expected to significantly ease travel for pilgrims, students, professionals, while also strengthening trade and tourism links.
बहुत ही गौरव की बात है कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के बहुत बड़े विजन के साथ रेलवे में एक बड़ा परिवर्तन हो रहा है। नई पटरियां बन रही है, नई तरह की ट्रेन्स आ रही हैं। ट्रेन को साफ रखना, स्टेशन को साफ रखना, नए स्टेशन बनाना, कई तरह के काम हाथ में लिए गए हैं। और आज बहुत खुशी की बात है कि भावनगर से अयोध्या धाम को जोड़ने वाली नई ट्रेन आज चालू हुई है।
In a fatal road accident, 11 people died on the spot and 4 critically injured in India's northern state of Uttar Pradesh on Sunday. Local residents and emergency teams retrieved the bodies and rescued the injured. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath expressed deep sorrow and announced 5 lakh rupees financial aid for each victim's family. President Draupadi Murmu also expressed deep condolences to the families of the deceased. The President wrote on X, "The news of the deaths of many people in a vehicle accident in Gonda, Uttar Pradesh is extremely tragic. I express my deep condolences to the bereaved families. I pray for the speedy recovery of those who were injured." Prime Minister Narendra Modi also took to social media to express his condolences. He tweeted, and I quote, "Deeply saddened by the loss of lives due to an accident in Gonda, Uttar Pradesh. Condolences to those who've lost their loved ones in this mishap. May the injured recover soon. An ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund would be given to the next of kin of each deceased. The injured would be given 50,000 rupees. The India Pavilion Bharat at the World Expo 2025 in Osaka became a vibrant hub of culture, innovation and tradition on Saturday, attracting over 23,000 visitors in a single day. The pavilion offered immersive experiences that showcased India's achievements and heritage, starting from space exploration and scientific innovation to handicrafts, yoga and cultural performances. The pavilion will remain open until October 13th this year. The Indian Trade Promotion Organization and the Embassy of India in Japan shared the milestone through posts on social media platform X, celebrating the pavilion's growing popularity. Authorities have suspended this year's annual Amarnath Yatra just a week ahead of its scheduled conclusion due to the need for maintenance on the tracks that were damaged by recent heavy rainfall. The Amarnath Yatra, a sacred pilgrimage to the holy cave shrine of Amarnath in India's Jammu and Kashmir, has been temporarily suspended from Sunday. As per local officials, the Yatra, which began on July the 3rd, was scheduled to conclude on August 9th on the occasion of the festival of Raksha Bandhan. However, authorities decided to shorten it by a week, citing critical repair and maintenance works to be undertaken in the wake of heavy rainfall. Due to continued deployment of men and machinery on the tracks of Baltal and Nunwan, Pahalgam, the Yatra has been halted. More than 4 lakh people paid obeisance at the holy cave of Amarnath Shrine this year. In a vibrant celebration of India's ancient culinary wisdom, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, the FSSAI, in collaboration with the Ministry of Ayush, unveiled a definitive list of Ayurveda Ahar products on Saturday, weaving tradition into modern wellness. Rooted in the 2022 Ayurveda Ahar regulations, this list is drawn from classical Ayurvedic texts and includes nourishing dishes like Krishahara or Khichdi, Indarika or Idli, and Kashe, that's herbal tea. All these promote immunity, digestion and balance. These foods, crafted with natural herbs, align with seasonal cycles, offering sustainable health benefits. Minister Pratap Rao Jadhav championed their integration into daily diets, echoing Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of globalizing India's food culture. The National Institute of Ayurveda's meticulous curation ensures authenticity, empowering food business operators and fostering consumer trust. This initiative, blending regulatory rigor with holistic nutrition, invites the world to embrace Ayurveda's timeless traditions for a healthier, harmonious future. And next we take a look at what else is making news around the world. Hundreds of circus artists and thousands of spectators gathered in Staritsa, a small town in central Russia, for a street circus festival known as Karandash Fest. The one-day festival is named after a famous Soviet clown who performed under the stage name Karandash. In France, car enthusiasts from all over Europe celebrated the centenary of Prix de la Marne, a historic event that honors cars and motorcycles. The event was first held in 1925. Egyptian wrestler Ashraf Mahrous pulled 20 vehicles for a distance of 10 meters in an attempt to set a Guinness World Record. The 44-year-old said that this attempt is his 7th to set a new record. The wrestler said he pulled 20 vehicles with an approximate weight of 27,000 kgs. Tens of thousands of cat lovers descended on Hong Kong's exhibition centre for an expo dedicated to everything feline, from premium cat food to fur shampoo. The three-day event included a cat show competition with judges flying in from South Africa and the US. You're watching DD India NewsHour, still to come on the show. How long will it take for the world to notice Baloch people's struggle for freedom? We discuss the plight of Balochistan activists and the possible outcome of their prolonged struggle with our expert. A Bangladesh tribunal commences the trial of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina over crimes committed against humanity. And the horticulture landscape in Jammu and Kashmir undergoes a remarkable transformation thanks to the ultra-high density apple farming.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. A reminder of the headlines we are tracking at this hour. OPEC Plus agrees to boost oil production by 547,000 barrels per day from September. The decision comes amid increasing US pressure to bring Moscow to the negotiating table in the Ukraine crisis. China and Russia start joint naval drills in the Sea of Japan. The drills come 2 days after US President Donald Trump's nuke submarine threat. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expresses profound shock over the chilling hostage videos released by Hamas. Thousands rally in Tel Aviv demanding complete hostage deal. And Balochistan prepares for Independence Day despite restrictions, rejects Pakistan's unlawful directives. Activist Mehrang Baloch's remand extended for 20 days amid growing global outcry. Leading Baloch human rights defender Mir Yar Baloch has said that Balochistan is actively and enthusiastically preparing to celebrate the National Day of Independence on August 11th, despite restrictions imposed by the occupying Pakistani forces. Just a few days ago, the Baloch leader had issued a stern warning to US President Donald Trump against stepping into any natural resource exploration in the region, claiming that resources like oil, gas, lithium and uranium belong to Balochistan, not Pakistan. The date August 11th is a pivotal day in the history of Balochistan. On this day, a portion of Balochistan gained independence from British colonial rule in 1947, just few days before the creation of India and Pakistan. The date is thus a reminder to the enduring spirit of Baloch resistance and the recognition of Baloch national sovereignty. While the then princely state of Kalat later acceded to Pakistan in 1948, many Baloch nationalists view this accession as an annexation and do not recognize Pakistan's claim over Balochistan. Balochistan is now gearing up to celebrate the National Day of Independence on August 11th, despite restrictions imposed by the occupying Pakistani forces. Leading Baloch human rights defender Mir Yar Baloch asserted on a social media platform that Balochistan is neither legally nor morally bound to comply with any unlawful directives from an occupying force that seeks to deny them this basic right. On behalf of the people of Balochistan, the human rights activists reiterated that they once again extended an opportunity for Pakistan to withdraw its forces peacefully from Baloch soil. He said that this is Pakistan's chance to avoid global embarrassment and avoid the same fate it suffered during its disgraceful surrender in the 1971 Bangladesh War. It is not the first time Balochs have asserted their independence. Balochs have also warned Pakistan against foreign exploitation of its resources. On July 31st, after US President Donald Trump announced a trade agreement with Pakistan to explore a massive oil reserve, Baloch leader Mir Yar Baloch publicly rejected Islamabad's claim over the resource-rich territory, asserting that the oil, gas and mineral reserves lie within the sovereign territory of Balochistan, not Pakistan. Balochistan is not Pakistan, Mir Yar Baloch posted, warning that the Pakistani military had gravely misled US and UN officials, particularly Army Chief General Asim Munir, who reportedly discussed the Balochistan mineral reserves with Trump during a June meeting at the White House. Also in May 2025, Baloch leader Mir Yar Baloch claimed that Balochistan was never a part of Pakistan, citing decades of air bombings, enforced disappearances and genocide committed by Pakistan. According to Voice for Baloch Missing Persons, more than 7,000 people are missing from Balochistan. Reports also state of extrajudicial killings carried out by the security forces in Balochistan. There are also allegations of torture and arbitrary detentions in Balochistan. In yet another move underscoring Pakistan's continued repression of peaceful Baloch activism, an anti-terrorism court in Quetta on Saturday extended the police custody of Mehrang Baloch and several organizers from the Baloch Yakjehti Committee (BYC) for another 20 days.
Our struggle for freedom continues. There is a serious question of the independence of Pakistan's judiciary, which continues to yield to state and military pressure instead of upholding constitutional rights. We are suffering the same fate that Shaheed Bhagat Singh faced against the British law.
According to the UN, on 21st March 2025, Quetta police stormed a peaceful BYC protest in front of the University of Balochistan, calling for the release of detained and forcibly disappeared activists. 3 people were reportedly shot and killed, while others were injured and dozens more arrested. Bureau Report, DD India. And we are now joined by Alok Bansal, Director, India Foundation. Welcome, sir, to the program. Balochistan is actively preparing to celebrate the National Day of Independence on August 11th. So can we expect the Pakistan government to resort to repressive measures to prevent such celebrations?
See, there is no doubt that Pak would resort to excessive repressive measures, which they have been doing it over the decades. In fact, whenever Baloch have tried to demonstrate peacefully, they have actually handled them with a heavy hand. So much so that sometimes even the Pakistan's judiciary, which has generally been the handmaiden of the executive, has also been forced to raise some concerns. As you remember, there was a Chief Justice Iftikhar Chaudhary who had taken up the case of missing persons, because what the Pakistani agencies do, that they take away people who even show any sympathy with the Baloch nationalist forces, and then they disappear, and very often their bodies are found subsequently bearing severe torture marks. So that's been the case, and consequently Baloch women, etc., have been protesting against this. Earlier, Mama Kadir Baloch had led a protest, and now Dr. Mehrang Baloch was leading a protest. She has been apprehended, as you know. She was not allowed to go and attend an international conference where she had been named by Time magazine as some of the 100 most influencing people who were emerging. And since then, she has been in illegal detention without any charge sheet. Her detention has been extended month after month, month after month. And now it's almost 6-7 months that she has been in detention.
Yes, Baloch leader Miryar Baloch has declared that Pakistan will not be allowed to exploit Balochistan's mineral resources without the explicit consent of the Baloch people. How, if at all, could this Baloch opposition impact the US-Pakistan deal to jointly develop Balochistan's oil reserves?
See, US-Pakistan deal is actually more a figment of imagination. Donald Trump is used to making statements without any sanctity or without any relevance. So he's talking of oil and gas from Pakistan. I don't know what he's talking about. Bulk of the oil and gas which has been explored has been in Balochistan, and no further exploitation or exploration has been going on because Baloch have prevented foreign agencies from exploring resources in their land because they don't want their land to be colonized by Islamabad, and they have actually targeted any foreign agency which has been collaborating with Islamabad as far as colonization of Balochistan is concerned. And consequently, we have seen that Chinese citizens, Chinese companies have been targeted. Now, if US wants to do that, US will also face the same thing. The second alternative is US talking about shale gas, which again, in Pakistan's case, whenever they have gone for shale gas, the cost has been so exorbitantly high that Pakistan cannot afford it, and its affordability is zero. So I really don't know what US-Pakistan deal is all about when he says that Pakistan will have so much of oil and gas. I really don't know what Mr. Trump is talking about, President Trump is talking about. I think it's more in form of some pipe dream as far as Pakistan is concerned.
Okay,
nothing
nothing substantial. But would you agree that with the assertion of the Baloch leader that the resources generated from exploiting Balochistan's mineral wealth will be used by Pakistani military and the ISI and pose a serious global security threat?
See, this has always been the case, right from the time when Khan of Kalat was forced to accede to Pakistan by forcing literally gun to his head and moving Pakistan's military. The Kalat's leaders have always been saying that Pakistan cannot survive without Balochistan's minerals. In fact, Balochistan has the minerals, and that's been the fact. So Pakistan has been an exploitative power as far as Balochistan is concerned. Their copper mines, their coal reserves, their iron ores, that's all been taken out by Pakistan. And as a result, what we have seen that in last few years, Baloch have been targeting these exploitative forces. As a result, people from outside Balochistan who have been involved in extraction of these mineral resources have been targeted. Specifically, Punjabi citizens have been targeted. And that's what is going on. So I think Baloch have a valid grouse that despite being rich with natural resources, Balochistan, in terms of Human Development Index, is amongst the poorest states as far as Pakistan is concerned.
Okay, UN human rights experts have called for Pakistani authorities to respect international human rights and humanitarian law in Balochistan. They've also condemned reports of widespread torture, extrajudicial killings and indiscriminate violence by Pakistan's security forces, especially against peaceful protesters. But shouldn't more be done by the United Nations in this matter?
I think UN has really not been so active. They should have been, because Baloch have been targeted inordinately, in fact, in a very, very harsh manner. We have seen so many Baloch leaders who disappeared. Their bodies have been received. I think the international human rights bodies must take Pakistan to task for this sort of severe human rights violations that have been taking place regularly in Balochistan.
Okay, let's see how August 11th is celebrated in Balochistan. Thank you very much, Alok Bansalji, for joining us on DD India NewsHour and shedding your perspective on the crisis in Balochistan. All right, let's move on. Bangladesh's International Crimes Tribunal has begun the trial of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and two aides of alleged crimes against humanity during last July's uprising. The co-accused are ex-Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal, currently absconding, and former Inspector General of Police Chaudhry Abdullah Al Mamoon, who is in custody. The charges against the trio include murder, torture and the use of lethal force and other crimes against humanity. According to leading daily of Bangladesh, Daily Star, witnesses are also expected to give their statements in this case in the coming days. And next we take a look at other stories making news in India. Amrit Udyan, the iconic garden within the Rashtrapati Bhavan, that's India's President House, will be open to the public from August 16th to September 14th. This year, visitors can explore various gardens, including the Bal Vatika, Herbal Garden and Central Lawn, and also experience new features like Babbling Brook and sculptural spouts. Numerous young individuals on Sunday attended a recruitment rally held in Jammu and Kashmir's Poonch district by Indian Army's Mandher Battalion. Following Operation Sindoor, the rally aims to provide employment opportunities to the unemployed youth in the region. This initiative gives a 6-month job to selected young individuals who enthusiastically look forward to support and work with Indian soldiers. The horticulture landscape in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is undergoing a remarkable transformation due to the ultra-high density apple farming, a government-backed initiative aimed at boosting productivity and doubling farmers' income. Farmers are being trained in modern horticulture practices, enabling them to optimize their yields and improve quality. In the South Indian state of Tamil Nadu, Adi Perakku festival was celebrated on the banks of River Kaveri. Thousands of people gathered to celebrate this Hindu festival in Tiruchirappalli, which is observed on the 18th day of the Tamil month Adi. As part of the rituals, newly married couples, women and devotees offer prayers to the river, expressing gratitude to it for its blessings. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. On the outskirts of Rome, Pope Leo exhorts a crowd of 1 million Catholic youth to spread their faith. Brazil defends its Women's Copa America crown by defeating Colombia 5-4.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Extreme weather events are unfolding across the globe. A long dormant volcano erupted for the first time in 600 years in Russia's eastern Kamchatka Peninsula, sending plumes of ash 6,000 meters above. Meanwhile, Japan is sweltering under relentless heat waves. More in our next report by Sarita Chaudhary.
From volcanic eruptions in Russia to heat waves scorching Europe and Asia, and rare snowfall blanketing parts of Australia, extreme weather activities are sweeping across the globe. The Krasheninnikov volcano on Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula has erupted for the first time in approximately 600 years, sending ash plumes up to 6,000 meters high. According to the Kamchatka Volcanic Eruption Response Team, the eruption may be linked to a massive earthquake that struck the region last week, triggering tsunami warnings as far away as French Polynesia and Chile. Whereas in Japan, tourists in Kyoto City battle sweltering heat with temperatures soaring past 38 degrees Celsius. The meteorological agency issued a heat advisory, urging residents and visitors to stay hydrated and take precautions against heat stroke. In Europe, a time-lapse video from Spain and Portugal shows temperatures rising sharply, with forecasts predicting highs of up to 40 degrees Celsius in the coming days. Spain's Met Agency warns that temperatures may exceed 42 degrees Celsius, with the heat expected to persist through Thursday. In contrast, several towns in eastern Australia were blanketed in thick snow as wild weather swept through over the weekend. Parts of the New England Northwest region saw their heaviest snowfall in 20 years, while Queensland experienced its first snow in a decade.
Actually, it's a very surreal experience. I've always dreamt about going to the snow. I've never seen snow before in my entire life, and it really is a surreal experience. And it's awesome.
These intense and extreme weather patterns highlight a changing climate activities and its growing threats across the world. Bureau Report, DD India.
Pope Leo celebrated the largest event yet of his nearly 3-month tenure in Rome. Amid shouts of "Long live the Pope," Leo led a mass that was attended by over 1 million Catholic youth. Sunday's mass was part of a week-long series of events in Rome for Catholic youth tied to the ongoing Catholic Holy Year. Leo, the first US-born Pope, was elected on May 8th by the world's cardinals to replace the late Pope Francis. You're watching DD India NewsHour, and time now for some sporting action. Well, life has been injected back into the 5th test at the Oval as India pacer Prasidh Krishna took 2 wickets in 2 overs against England in the final session on day 4. Chasing a daunting target of 374, England resumed at 50 for 1 and briefly stumbled as Ben Duckett and Ollie Pope fell early. But what followed was a stunning turnaround. Harry Brook and Joe Root stitched together a commanding 195-run partnership that put England firmly in control. Brook was the aggressor, unleashing a flurry of attacking strokes to bring up a blistering century of just 91 balls. He fell for 111 to Akashdeep, but not before tilting the balance in England's favour. Root, meanwhile, remained a picture of calm, collecting runs steadily and bringing up his 39th Test 100. With just a handful of runs remaining and 3 wickets in hand, the result of the final Test match hangs in balance. Earlier, India had looked in command after day 3 with Yashasvi Jaiswal's sublime 100 and crucial contributions from Akashdeep, Washington Sundar and Ravindra Jadeja, helping India set for England a challenging 4th innings target, but their efforts may fall short in the face of a spirited English fight back ongoing at the Oval. Indian long jumper Murli Srishankar clinched his 3rd straight title after coming back from a long injury layoff as he won the event at the Kosanov Memorial Athletics Meet in Almaty, Kazakhstan on Saturday. The 26-year-old Indian produced a winning leap of 7.94 meters on his opening attempt to secure the top spot at the World Athletics Continental Tour bronze label meet. He has a personal best of 8.41 meters. Brazil successfully defended their Women's Copa America crown by defeating Colombia 5-4 in a shootout on Saturday to claim their 9th continental title after a roller coaster final in Quito ended 4-4. The decider saw Colombia take the lead 3 times, only for Brazil to respond on each occasion. Brazil great Marta forced extra time with a late equalizer, and the veteran struck again in the 105th minute to seemingly seal victory, which happens to be their 9th continental win. Teenager Victoria Mboko produced the shock of the tournament as she defeated top seed Coco Gauff to reach the quarterfinals of Canadian Open tennis in Montreal. The 18-year-old Canadian, who was handed a wildcard entry into the main draw, needed just 62 minutes to defeat the 2-time Grand Slam champion 6-1, 6-4. Mboko converted 4 of 5 break points against Gauff and has now dropped just 1 set in 4 matches at the tournament. She began the year ranked 333rd in the world and proceeded to win 22 successive matches without dropping a set on her way to securing 5 titles on the second-tier ITF tour. That's all for this edition of DD India NewsHour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can also download our DD India mobile app for news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.